Hello everybody, Prowl here. I wanted to try something a little bit different for you guys today. I wanted to do a tutorial in a little bit different way. So you see, we have a little bit different setup here. And I want to do a tutorial on something that I've never done one on or even made before. But I thought of it. I know I've heard of people doing these, and I kind of designed it in what I thought was my own best way of doing it. And it's a simple, like, passive mob farm. As you can see, like, mobs are just spawning in, and they just kind of drop down into the area down here where there's a Trident killer. And these mobs, I mean, you get a lot of stuff. Like, look, we get all sorts of meat that you can have for like early to mid, even late game, like a food source. You get a good little supply of leather, like nothing too crazy, but like a decent amount of leather for the amount of time you spend here. And you even get some wool from it, some feathers if you need those for any reason. And depending on where you build this in your world, you may even be able to get like some other things from it as well. Let's go ahead and let's make a brand new world where we can go ahead and get this thing built, and I can show you exactly how to make it and how it works. Okay, so we'll make it nice and easy. We'll start out with the storage here. We'll just do a few chests, nothing too crazy. Something like this should work perfectly fine. And then we're gonna put some mud blocks on top, 4 of them, because items can be sucked up from a hopper through the mud blocks. So like I could throw this calcite right there, and you see it gets sucked up and gets dispensed down there. So this will work great for our collection area. We'll build the Trident killer part here in just a little bit. So we're just gonna go up like, I don't know, 4 blocks, and we're gonna make this right here our floor. And we're going to leave a little like 2x2 area right here. That's going to be where the mobs are going to fall in. You see that centered right there on the mud blocks. To get a proper water flow, we need to go 8 blocks out, including this block right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go up 1 like this and go out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to do that and fill it in all the way around. Okay, so the main platform's in. Now we just have to make a little border around here, which will keep the water from getting out, allow us to place down all of our water source blocks. And then to get the proper water flow, we need to just do this little thing right here in the corner where we could put our water up here, and we'll do that to all 4 sides. Now, this next part that we need to do, this does need to be grass blocks that you use. So you're gonna either need to have silk touch, or I'm gonna show you a little trick that you can do to get grass up here so you don't have to have silk touch if you don't have it already. First of all, we haven't put water down yet, as you can see. We're gonna go diagonal here. We're gonna go diagonal 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna mark right here. And we're gonna go up 1, 2, 3 blocks here, just to have like a little bit of a gap there. And we're gonna make platforms that go all the way across, just like this. And they're going to come all the way to where you have 2 blocks on the end here. This is just to make it so mobs can't yeet themselves off the edge. We don't want them to do that. Now, let's say you don't have grass blocks and all you have is dirt, okay? Well, first of all, we're gonna separate this by 1, 2, 3 blocks. So each one of these rows is gonna have like a 2 block gap in between them. If you want to get grass up here, it's going to take a little while to do it, but if you do this right here and you make a little staircase of dirt going up, something like that right there, you can see if I turn the random tick speed up, grass will slowly spread its way up here. Can I make this any faster? As you can see, the grass will eventually spread up there. So if you need to move grass up there without silk touch, you could do that. Otherwise, just get grass blocks with silk touch and place them up here. Okay, so as I was saying, every 3rd block you need to have a platform, and I'll show you why here in just a second. And on this last one, don't include this because it goes over that 2 block gap. We don't want that one. We want this right here, and make all of your rows the same length that we did the first one. Now, the reason why we're doing this is a couple things. First of all, you need a gap for the mobs to be able to fall into. We want them to get down to what will eventually be water down here and get flushed in. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to have something you can sit down that the mobs think they can walk on, so they'll actually throw themselves off of here. If you just have it like this, they're smart enough to know to not go down there. They don't want to fall. But if you either set trap doors going all the way down like this right here, the mobs, they will throw themselves off the edge. Now, trap doors are a little annoying to do because you have to double click them, and also it gives a little bit more surface area for the mobs to spawn on. They'll take longer to fall, or sometimes they won't fall at all. They'll kind of keep walking in a different direction. So the best thing that you can use is coral fans. Coral fans work the same way as trapdoors do, in the sense that like mobs think that they could walk on it and they'll throw themselves over the edge. They don't have that extra little lip, and they're easier to place down. They're a little bit harder to get, right? You're gonna have to go through and go to a ocean to find them. So if you can get the coral fans, get them. If you can't, you can use the trapdoors. They work almost exactly the same. And you're just going to want to go around and then cover every single side of every single one of these grass blocks. That way the mobs will throw themselves off. Okay, now once you have that done, you're going to want to then move up and go to the next layer. Oh, I should probably tell you this too. So once you get grass up here, if you want grass to kind of spread across everything, just go ahead and like connect all the platforms, and then the grass will spread. It'll take a little bit of time, right? The more connections you make, the faster it'll spread. But just a little tip for you guys that are doing it with dirt. So now, passive mobs will not spawn underneath a solid block. So we can't just make another platform right here, because mobs will spawn up here, but they're not going to spawn down there. They don't spawn underneath solid blocks. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to come over one. If we come over one, we're not blocking anything from down below. So now we can do the same thing we did down there, but we can just do it here instead with the same criteria of making sure we skip every 2 blocks, just like this. And when we get to the edge, making sure that we have at least a 2 block gap on the end. So if I come over 2 and put a 3rd, as you can see, that doesn't work. So we will stop this one right here. We're going to cover this with the fans, and we're going to be able to do this one more time. So like I said, go up 1, 2, 3, go over 1, and do one last row. And what that'll do is that'll fill all the gaps. So now we will have solid blocks all the way through when you look top down, which will get us the most amount of spawning spots available. Bam. Now that's what we end up with right there. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and throw in some water. You want to put it on the corners and then all down the sides. Now we're underneath the farm. You're going to want to build a Trident killer, but there's a couple specific things you're going to want to do with this. I've noticed some problems as I've made this that you're going to want to resolve early on. So go ahead and place your pistons down on the right hand side facing each way and fill in these little gaps right here, just like this. Okay, put a solid block on top of each piston, have an observer facing away from each one of those solid blocks. And we don't want this thing to move too fast, because if it moves too fast, horses, cows, like the larger animals, they're going to take a lot longer to die. We want to kill them as fast as possible. So to fix that, we're going to use redstone dust. It's a little bit slower than using rails or dispensers. We want it to be a little bit slower. And go ahead and give yourself an on-off switch. You can just go ahead and place that, anywhere. Place it right here would be perfectly fine. Now go ahead and fill this in with a ring of solid blocks. And at this level right here, I have seen horses, for some reason, will get pushed through the blocks and they'll get stuck in there. We want them to stay stuck in here because they'll suffocate. So we're going to put that right here, and we're going to put this right here along this as well. And this will make sure that if any of the horses like get shot through here, whatever, their heads will stay in the block and they'll suffocate and they'll die. Now you'll want to throw 1, 2, a couple tridents in here is perfectly fine. You don't need a whole lot because this only will spawn 4 mobs at a time. You can only have 4 passive mobs alive within a 4 chunk area at a time. That's how the game calculates. That's what the mob cap is. Now we can't just AFK down here, because if we AFK down here, mobs are going to spawn all around us. They're not going to too often spawn up here. So what we need to do is we need to make an AFK platform. Now we need to do that from our bottom blocks right here. So basically we want to make sure that mobs will not despawn coming down this far, but will not spawn here. So what we want to do is we want to stand right here. If you're on simulation distance 4, you're going to go 44 blocks up from your Trident killer floor. If you are sim distance 6, you want to go 96 blocks up. If you're anything above sim distance 6, you want to go 128 blocks up from this point. So we're on sim distance 4 here. That's the default. So if you don't know what your sim distance is, it's 4. We want to go 44 blocks up from here. We are negative 55 Y level right now, which means we need to go up to Y level negative 11. This is Y level negative 11, so I should be able to build a platform here. Go ahead and test this out in your world to make sure you did the math right by just going AFK here for a little while, and then go down and check and see what kind of drops that you have. But this should be the perfect level. I need to make one very small edit. It's where the AFK platform goes. Pretty easy one to fix. I told you to go from here and then count up 44 from here, going to negative 11. Go 2 blocks lower than that. So if you stand even with your mud blocks right there, go 42 blocks up in the air instead of 44, meaning that we would go to -13 in our instance here instead of -11. Now also make sure that you hold a looting 3 sword, put looting 3 on a sword and hold the looting 3 sword in your hand. That way you get the looting effect from the Trident killer to get you more drops. And for those of you that may be wondering, is it worth it to make this platform bigger? The answer is no, it's not. It's not worth it at all. The mobs don't spawn in fast enough and then get killed fast enough for it to warrant having more of these platforms. You may see a very slight increase in the speed of your farm. It's not going to be a ton. You wouldn't want to say put 4 of these beside each other. It's not going to make that much of a difference. Again, you'll get a little bit of a benefit, but not a lot. Now, if you're wondering if you can have this farm do anything else for you, the answer is yes. A few different things, actually. If you build it below water level, let's say you build the platform right here, like in the water, in the ocean, and then build the grass parts above the ocean, you would get squid spawning in here that will push their way out to the middle and get you some ink sac drops. If you were to build this in a biome that has another type of mob that can spawn, let's say a desert biome where rabbits will spawn, or a taiga biome where foxes will spawn, they will spawn in here. They will drop down into the system and get killed, and you will get drops from them. Foxes can even spawn with emeralds in their mouth. You're not going to get a ton of emeralds from it, but you will get some emeralds from the farm of foxes. You'll get rabbit hide and rabbit feet and things like that if you have rabbits spawning in the biome. So this will give you different things depending on what biome that you build it in, which is kind of cool too. But other than that, really your main point is to get a lot of food from this farm. So yeah, I'm hoping this will help you guys get a lot of food in your world, get a little bit of leather, some wool, and some other things that you may be looking for. Overall, it's a really easy farm to make, especially if you do it the trapdoor version. And I think I'm going to be building this in my world. Seems like a good way to get a whole lot of food with only a little bit of effort. So if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you like this different format of tutorial. I don't know, I just wanted to try something a little bit different. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.